The world has a cruel little lie it loves to whisper in your ear. It tells you that if you haven't made it by 30, you never will. That success belongs to the young, the prodigies, the early risers, the ones who supposedly had it all figured out before they even finished school. But history tells us a very different story. The truth is this: some of the greatest triumphs in business, art, invention, and even athletics happened later in life. People who were told their time had passed, that they had missed their chance, but who went on to rewrite their destiny. Today we're diving into powerful, jaw-dropping, and inspirational stories of people who proved it's never too late to rise. These are the late bloomers who didn't just succeed, they left powerful legacies. Let's start with a story everyone thinks they know, but few know all the facts. Harlan David Sanders, better known as Colonel Sanders, didn't start KFC until he was 65 years old. Before that, he was a drifter. He worked as a farmhand, a steamboat pilot, a railroad fireman. He even tried practicing law but failed miserably. When he finally found his calling in cooking, it was in a tiny service station in Corbin, Kentucky. Sanders started serving fried chicken to travelers, cooked with his secret blend of 11 herbs and spices. People loved it. But his big break didn't come until disaster struck. At the age of 65, after decades of struggle, Sanders' roadside restaurant closed due to a new highway bypass. Most people would have quit right there. But instead, Sanders hit the road. He drove across the country, living out of his car, pitching his chicken recipe to restaurant owners. He was rejected over 1,000 times before one small restaurant finally said yes. From that seed grew what would become one of the largest fast food empires in the world, Kentucky Fried Chicken. By the time Sanders sold the company in 1964, it had grown to more than 600 franchises and would become a global brand worth billions. His message was clear: success can begin at any age. Next up, Anna Mary Robertson Moses. You probably know her by her affectionate nickname, Grandma Moses. Born in 1860, she spent most of her life working on a farm, raising 10 children, and living what most would call an ordinary rural life. But when she was in her late 70s, after arthritis made embroidery too painful, she picked up a paintbrush. At first, she painted as a hobby, but soon her vivid folk art depictions of country life caught attention. In 1938, a local collector discovered her work, and by the time she was 80, Grandma Moses was exhibiting in New York galleries. She became internationally famous in her 80s and 90s, with her paintings selling for tens of thousands of dollars. Today, some are valued in the millions. Think about that. At an age when most people are slowing down, Grandma Moses launched a global art career. She painted over 1,500 works, proving that passion doesn't care about age. When you think of McDonald's, you probably picture golden arches, Big Macs, and Happy Meals. But what you might not know is that the man who made McDonald's a global empire didn't even get started until his 50s. Ray Kroc was a traveling milkshake machine salesman. He stumbled upon a small, efficient burger stand run by two brothers in San Bernardino, California, Richard and Mac McDonald. Most men in their 50s would have shrugged, said, "Nice idea," and moved on. Not Kroc. He saw potential for something much bigger. At age 52, he convinced the McDonald brothers to let him franchise their concept. From there, Kroc built McDonald's into the largest fast food chain on earth. By the time he died in 1984, McDonald's had thousands of locations worldwide. His relentless drive made him one of the most famous entrepreneurs in history, proof that starting late doesn't mean finishing small. You may have heard of the Little House on the Prairie books. They became classics, translated into dozens of languages, and even adapted into a beloved TV series. But their author, Laura Ingalls Wilder, didn't publish her first book until she was 65 years old. Wilder grew up in poverty and hardship, experiencing the American frontier firsthand. For decades, she worked as a teacher, a farmer's wife, and even a columnist. But her true calling didn't emerge until she was already a grandmother. Her first book, Little House in the Big Woods, was published in 1932. From there, she wrote an entire series that captured the pioneer spirit of America and sold millions of copies. Imagine if she had believed the lie that it was too late. The world would never have had her timeless stories. Now let's jump forward in time to a modern icon. Vera Wang was a competitive figure skater in her youth and later an editor at Vogue, but she didn't enter the fashion world until much later. At age 40, after failing to make the U.S. Olympic team and being passed over for the editor-in-chief position at Vogue, she decided to become a bridal gown designer. Most of her peers thought she was crazy, but Wang launched her first bridal boutique in 1990. Her designs revolutionized the wedding industry. Today, Vera Wang is one of the most recognized names in fashion, with her brand worth hundreds of millions. She is living proof that rejection and delay can be the doorway to destiny. Here's a story that doesn't get told enough. Harriet Dorr dreamed of being a writer when she was young, but life had other plans. She married, raised a family, and moved to Mexico with her husband. It wasn't until after her husband's death that she returned to college at age 65. 9 years later, at age 74, she published her first novel, Stones for Ibarra. The book won the National Book Award for First Fiction. Imagine that, winning one of literature's highest honors at an age when many are already retired. Dorr's story is a reminder that creativity doesn't expire. It waits for you. Finally, let's talk about the man behind Walmart. Sam Walton didn't open his first Walmart until he was 44 years old. Before that, he worked at small retail shops and Ben Franklin stores, where he learned the trade. But when he finally struck out on his own, he changed the face of retail forever. By the time Walton died in 1992, Walmart had become the largest retailer in the world, employing hundreds of thousands of people and generating billions of dollars in revenue. What's important here is that Walton's massive success wasn't in his 20s or 30s. It was the culmination of decades of persistence and learning, all culminating in a vision that reshaped the way Americans shop. So, what do all these stories have in common? Each of these people, Colonel Sanders, Grandma Moses, Ray Kroc, Laura Ingalls Wilder, Vera Wang, Harriet Dorr, Duncan Hines, Sam Walton, they all broke the illusion of time. They all proved that success doesn't come with an expiration date. The Legacy Code teaches us that rewriting your life isn't about the years you have left. It's about the energy you bring to the years ahead. So the next time you hear that little voice whisper, "It's too late for you," remember these names, remember these stories, and remember this. It is never too late to build your legacy, because the only thing standing between you and the life you're meant to live is the story you choose to believe. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. Thank you for watching.